Hello, welcome to this update for North America and Hurricane Melissa. So let's see what's happening. Today is October 29th, Wednesday. Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba a few hours ago as a Category 4, and yesterday it made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 with a pressure 892 millibars. It was a staggering landfall. I hope everybody's okay. Please pray for Jamaica, but this storm has beat many records so far. The second strongest landfall after the Labor Day hurricane, if I'm right. So please continue to stay safe because although the storm is gone, there are still floods ongoing, power outages, possible water contamination. So please stay safe and help them recover. So now be careful, the floods continue in Cuba because this has just left Cuba and part of it is still affecting Cuba. And it's now affecting Turks and Caicos and the southern Bahamas, especially the southern Bahamas. It's a very broad system now, covering a large area. So please stay safe. Just the next 12 hours from this, right, shows more than 100 milliliters spots the southern Bahamas, especially Cockburn Town and Clarence Town, a few more areas. There are two Cockburn towns here. That's interesting. So please stay safe. 5-day total does show it jumps up to close to 200, 184 in a few of these islands because this storm will pass very fast. It will just go straight into the Atlantic. So please continue to stay safe, and especially the winds, because the center of the storm is still around between Cuba and Clarence Town. So when this goes the main islands there in southern Bahamas, it might cause a lot of wind damage and flooding. So please stay safe and storm surge still as well. So Thursday, tomorrow, this still affecting the Turks and Caicos, but it goes further out to sea. And believe it or not, there's already a hurricane warning in Bermuda, and it might approach Bermuda on Friday. So please be aware there as well. Here does show there's still Hurricane Melissa here. So let's see like these warnings first. It shows like a few spots. Let's see if it loads because this, okay, good. So there's still the hurricane warnings in Cuba, tropical storm warnings still around Haiti and the Turks and Caicos, and hurricane warnings in most of the Bahamas except the far north, and some tropical storm warnings in central Cuba as well. So please stay safe. And there's already a hurricane warning in Bermuda there, so be monitoring this closely there as well. In eastern Cuba, life-threatening storm surge and flash flooding landslides and damaging winds are going on right now through this afternoon. Remain in a safe shelter. In the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, hurricane conditions, life-threatening storm surge, heavy rainfall expected across parts of southeast and central Bahamas today. Find a safe shelter, follow local official guidance. Local storm conditions, heavy rain, and significant storm surge expect in the Turks and Caicos Islands today as well. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, still some catastrophic flash flooding landslides are expected across parts of Haiti. The Dominican Republic, especially today. In Haiti, extensive damage and isolation of communities is likely, and tropical storm conditions are still expected through this afternoon, especially there northern and western Haiti. In Bermuda, hurricane conditions and heavy rain are expected beginning late Thursday into Thursday night, and I still believe on Fridays some that dangerous conditions. So shows here like post-tropical storm safety impacted areas like I told you about Jamaica. So follow advice of local officials as you may need to remain sheltered after the storm due to downed power lines and flooded areas, and ensure generations are properly ventilated in places outside at least 20 feet away from dwellings and garages to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. It is very dangerous. And during cleanup, please be careful when using chainsaws and power tools. Drink plenty of water to avoid heat exhaustion and dehydration. So please stay safe. And please follow this guidance. Please be careful. This was a historic event, literally. So please stay safe. And still, they say some 12 plus inches locally, even 200 to 300 millimeters in Cuba the rest of today, and potentially like 200 millimeters or even like close to 300, a few spots in the southern Bahamas there. So please be careful in those areas. Although some global weather models are only showing 150, might exceed 200, so please be careful, and still close to 100 in Haiti, the Dominican Republic. So please stay safe and be careful in those areas. Nothing else now in the Atlantic, but I'll show you some stuff later. And the Eastern Pacific, there's post-tropical cyclone Sonia. Nothing too crazy about this. So be aware now for the rest of Melissa. It might become an extra tropical cyclone towards Europe later. Might approach Atlantic Canada as post-tropical or extra tropical. It might still be a big low pressure towards Europe, but that's still many days out, so we can be sure. It's a category 2 now, has decreased category 2, but still some damaging winds, and then you generally weaken later. Some models are still picking up category 3 in a few hours, but I don't know if that's really trustable. It should start weakening, so be aware those areas. Please be careful. So besides this hurricane, there's another trough low pressure in the U.S. there with some heavy rain, some gusty winds in a few areas, especially today in the Appalachians and tomorrow. And both of these systems might uh, be close to each other to produce more rain in the northeast by Halloween. And then this goes into Atlantic Canada, probably that trough still with some rain and snow there by November 1st. And then this goes and still watching some other low pressure systems later in November, more rain. But in terms of tropical, not seeing anything else for now, but let's just take a look. The GFS has something, so it has Melissa there. This goes, we're very close called to Bermuda, expect some possible hurricane conditions, like they said. And here this passes fairly close to Atlantic Canada, but curves towards Europe. The GFS shows it dissipating a little bit, so it won't be that big of a extratropical cyclone. Some bigger ones might come later in November towards Europe, but Melissa itself might not be that crazy. So later, there's still some moisture to watch near Central America, especially near Nicaragua and Costa Rica in those areas later this month, but still not showing anything concerning. So let's see here the tropics outlook they have, especially because yesterday was Tuesday. They did release this for later this month, so there's still the probabilities there in the Western Pacific later in the start of November. But in the Caribbean, they still have like some 20% or less in the first week of November. Even the second week of November, they still have some minor tropical depression probabilities there. So this is tropical cycle. So still better watch, especially right near Central America with the gyre and just remnant moisture, but still nothing concerning, just something to watch in the future. So be aware with the rest of Melissa now and please stay safe. So there's still some fire danger in southern Texas and California today because of some drier conditions and still kind of hotish in those areas, especially southern Texas, still some above average temperatures. So be careful in those areas. Day 2 still shows nothing. So day 3 are fine, but there's some severe weather today. There in the mid-Atlantic, some damaging winds, a few spots North Carolina, there into Virginia, a tornado or two, especially North Carolina, maybe some chance of water spouts, and no hail. So just be aware in those areas. A few strong tropics, a few storms may occur late tonight and early Thursday across North Carolina, Southeast Virginia. So be careful in those areas. Day 2, still a marginal along the mid-Atlantic. So kind of the same areas, but it extends further north tomorrow. So show like no hail and still some damaging winds in those areas, and no tornado threat tomorrow. But you never know, water spouts can still happen. So be aware, thunderstorms with isolated wind potential may occur Thursday, go from coastal North Carolina to the mid-Atlantic. So just be aware Thursday. Day 3, you're totally free from thunderstorms. So that gives me a winter vibe already. So let's see for rain here. Shows this marginal risk across the Appalachians, especially like Central Appalachians to North Carolina, even Georgia, South Carolina, West Virginia, spots of Ohio and to Kentucky as well, and Tennessee. So be aware, day 2 still in the mid-Atlantic, day 3 in Washington there, be aware, day 4, day 5, nothing. So day 1 through 7 does show like there in Washington close to 5 inches or even more, even like 7 inches locally, especially in Canada and British Columbia, and shows more across Northern California, a little bit into Oregon, and shows widespread rainfall across the Atlantic and the spots in the Northeast in New England. So be aware. In the Appalachians, a few more showers in Florida, storm or two in Texas, but not much, and there Melissa in the Bahamas. So please stay safe in those areas. And yeah, so snow still not showing anything impressive, just there in the Rockies in Canada. And then day 4 starts showing British Columbia some. Day 5, day 6 is still like, especially in Washington, like day 4 in Washington. Oregon, not really, but shows like a little bit possible in Washington. Montana, not really. Day 5, day 6 still shows in Washington a little bit. And day 7. So be aware. And let's see now this map. I haven't used this for a long time, but let's see it today. There's like, if you can believe it, still has some heat advisories in southwestern California. I better check the temperature there. So be aware, some red flag warnings there in southern Texas as well. So be careful, and some wind advisories there in the mid-south because of that low pressure system. And you're seeing this as well. We are both seeing this. This is like a freeze warning already as far south as Texas. So it's about to get chilly. I told you it was still above average before, but that's like in Mexico, in Oklahoma, Texas, all the way to like Kansas, there's already some freeze warnings. So get up some jackets and let's see. And there's a wind warning in northern Montana now. So this changes all the time. So these links in the description, and there are the hurricane warnings there in the Bahamas. So be aware those areas. And here, let's just see this temperature very quick. There's like still in California some high 90s, a few hours near Los Angeles, in Arizona as well. Far southern Texas, it's very windy, so that's the main reason for the fire danger, but still some 70s as well. And the northern Cascades Rock is still cold during the day. And take a look at this. Some 30s reaching as far south as Texas. And this last week we were just talking about the tropics, so I didn't really look at this much. It feels like winter, right, by looking at this map, but it's still October, so might get pretty chilly in those areas. Be aware this is during the night and early morning, especially like the very early morning hours. So be aware some 20s in Nebraska and through the Dakotas, Minnesota, and then some in the mid-Atlantic as well. Not mid-Atlantic, but like New England into New York, New England there. So be aware. And very cold in the Rockies, some teens, 20s there, especially in the higher terrain. So be aware. And let's see here. So during the day on Thursday, it should be better, like some 70s again, and like some 80s in the southwest still. So it's still hot in the southwest, and like some 40s and 30s in the mountains, the northern Rockies. During the night again, falls back down to some 30s, 20s in the high plains, and like shows there in the central northern plains, northern Rockies, some 20s, teens, especially in the Rockies, and more areas along the Sierra Nevada, colder mainly in the highest mountains and spots in the interior and the Cascades. So be aware in the upper Midwest as well. So shows like some 70s in the south might increase slightly in Texas. Some May is 90s and some 70s in Florida. During the day, still coldish in the Rockies there, in the highest terrain. And then by Saturday morning, in the south, it does get better, slightly warmer, but still those 30s, 20s there in the central high plains and even like central northern plains. So be aware, some 30s in the Midwest, a few areas in the north, and some 40s, high 30s, the central Midwest, the Appalachians. Still kind of cold in New England, so be aware. Be careful. Day 4, Samay is in the south. A few spots there in the southwest. Yeah, it's some 70s in the south. And Sunday morning does show the cold spreads east, like still some 30s the northeast, the Midwest, as far south as Missouri, and in the interior mountains there, especially in the Rockies and Cascades. So be aware. Still during the day on next Sunday, show Samay is in Arizona, California. 70s in the south and does reach some 70s as far north as Colorado, so might be a quick warm up, but still cold in the Cascades there. Shows Monday, November 3rd, still mainly the northwest, those negative temperatures, a few areas in the plains and 30s, and most of New England as well. And by Monday afternoon, still warmish in the south, some mildish to kind of chilly temperatures the north, but nothing like the night. And Tuesday morning, this is at 7 a.m., shows some 30s in the northern plains, 20s in the mountains there, and still some 30s in the northeast. So be aware. And like by Tuesday afternoon, does warm up a little bit, especially there in the south. So be aware. In 2 days, some breezier conditions there in the central plains behind of that trough, and the cold air is coming in behind it. So be aware and like show some high gusts in Montana as well. And there's the hurricane there. It's very, very high winds there across the Bahamas. So please stay safe. And let's see here. The rainfall still shows next 48 hours more rain across the eastern half of the country. The plains in the southwest are fairly dry, a thing or two in the northwest, but more rain the east there. Snow next 48 hours, not much, just in the northern Rockies, northern Cascades a little bit. So be aware in those areas. And now for Canada, we'll see the temperatures first and then the snow. So here there's like in Alaska, it's already is very cold, so minus 14, minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Very cold, so minus 13, 11, 13 Fahrenheit. So stay safe in those areas. In Canada, does show some minus 5, some minus 17 degrees Celsius, even minus 20 in Yukon, Northwestern Territories, shows Manitoba, Saskatchewan, those negative temperatures, British Columbia, and this is in the afternoon. It warms up in the south, it's above freezing, but the north still remains below freezing, even in the afternoon. And then the coldest part of the day does show like the early mornings, some minus 1, spots central Canada, a few spots Quebec and Ontario, especially central Ontario, spots southern Quebec, not in the southernmost part, but still pretty chilly there. Quebec City in a few areas, but the negative temperatures further north. So stay safe. Thursday shows in the afternoon briefly warms up a little bit, but still like some areas remain to 1 degrees, 0 degrees, minus 1, and the north still remains cold. So stay safe in those areas, some minus 9 even, spots there in the Rockies. So Thursday and into Friday morning shows this cold comes as far south as New Mexico and there in the US, but in Canada show like most of Saskatchewan's active temperatures, British Columbia into Alberta. So be careful, especially in the mountains spots in the Pacific coast, better. Some 8 degrees, 5 degrees because of the ocean, it's better. But those inland areas, pretty cold, shows there in Quebec and Ontario. Some active temperatures, not as cold as in the west, but still cold. So Friday afternoon warms up a little bit. And then this is Saturday morning. The European is showing like there in the prairies in those areas, central Canada, more negative temperatures. Spots in the northwest, still even minus 13. In Alaska, still in the single digits Fahrenheit, a few areas in the teens, and show like northern Nunavut, very cold, northern Quebec. And then this is Saturday afternoon. It increases slightly more in southern Alberta to 18 degrees. That's good. But then by Sunday morning already shows colder in eastern Canada there across spots in the northeastern US and spots in eastern Canada and still along the west there, especially in the Rockies in the far west. In those areas and more especially northern Nunavut, northwestern territories. So be aware, those areas in the Arctic are minus 23, so stay safe. And here shows like so, uh, Sunday morning and then shows like Sunday afternoon. It increases slightly, a few spots there, central Canada, and but still cold in the east, even during the day. So Sunday shows like Monday morning, still pretty cold spots in eastern Canada and like further west as well. So the pattern remains generally like this, and later into November, we'll see what happens. But by November 5th, it's potentially showing more cold already in a few spots. So be aware in those areas. And later this November 7th, even showing deeper cold into the northeastern US, but still far out. So be aware those areas. The snow, wait, shows like next 5 days until November 3rd. Let's start in the west. There does show British Columbia, a few spots, or even to like 119 centimeters, 120 in the mountains because of those strong cold fronts from the Pacific. More spots there, like in Alberta, especially in the Rockies, but a few spots outside the mountains might get a little bit. Shows there into like in the mountains in eastern British Columbia and potentially some snow in Saskatchewan, central Saskatchewan, northern areas, and most of Nunavut should get some snow. Northwestern territories and Alaska in the mountains should get like some more than 61 inches, 84 inches the mountain. So this area might get blasted and shows more like spots northern Alaska, some like let's go back 2 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches, a few areas there. So more snow there as well. And shows in eastern Canada, spots of southern Labrador into Quebec, you might get your first significant snowfall this season, especially like far eastern Quebec, some 60 centimeters, spots there in central southern Quebec, and spots most of central northern Quebec into Labrador, more snow northern Manitoba, and a few snow showers in Ontario, but not too much. So in Newfoundland shows some 5-7 centimeters as well, and this will come with this trough later this week, like Friday. Might start around Friday, Saturday, and some heavy rain in Atlantic Canada as well. Then Saturday, most of the snow might come later on Saturday into Sunday, still some there across eastern Canada, and still show some into next week. So be aware in those areas that strong front in Alaska, the extratropical cyclone to British Columbia, and some freezing rain localized in a few areas. Thursday, Friday, it's a stronger one into British Columbia Friday, and still some snow, not in the higher terrain, inland areas, and some freezing rain in a few localized spots. This by Saturday, the stronger front, the Pacific Northwest, and potentially this broad front there across Nunavut, Northwestern Territories, Northern Manitoba, into Sunday, more snow from that cyclone. So be aware in those areas and stay safe. Just checking slightly further until November 10th does increase some on the west and more potential in eastern Canada as well, but this is kind of far. Still watching and be careful. This rain might be locally heavy in Nova Scotia, spots there, Newfoundland and Labrador, some 63 millimeters or even more, and spots Nova Scotia. Might be a few thunderstorms as well, so be aware, especially heavier in Atlantic Canada and spots in the Pacific Northwest. It's not Atlantic, it's Pacific Canada, sorry. So shows even to 100 millimeters on the coast of those islands in British Columbia, southern Alaska, so like 5 inches. So be aware those areas, those fronts, and stay safe. Last thing, winds. There's some very high winds there across southern Alaska now, like 78 mile per gust, especially in the ocean, 70, 68. So be aware. And then into Thursday, tomorrow, spots in southern Yukon, British Columbia, slightly higher gusts. Thursday shows like Friday might come further into British Columbia and still northern Alaska stronger and southern Alaska as well. So Friday, Saturday stronger in the Rockies and Alberta into Montana and a few spots in British Columbia. Saturday, Sunday showing some localized strongers in Ontario. There are two spots in Alberta as well. The Hudson Bay Saturday, Sunday from this systems passing by and still by Monday shows Central Canada potentially and still watching after that. So that's the first part of the story. The second part of the story is in the northeastern US and Atlantic Canada shows like let's see, mile power, a few spots there. Nothing in the northeast shows some for 46 mile per gust, 42, and Thursday into Friday as this comes, and already some strong gusts Thursday afternoon, but Friday afternoon, like already by noon, shows some higher gusts in the Appalachians, Mid-Atlantic, Friday, and they're starting across Atlantic Canada later by Friday afternoon, but still shows in the northeast, and then this goes into Friday night, Saturday, spots there in the across Newfoundland, Labrador, especially there in Newfoundland, even to 120 km per gust. Potentially, the GFS is much less because it has the low pressure system further out into the ocean. But if the European is right, it might be very strong. So the icon is also further out into the ocean, but this general area will have some very strong winds between Thursday night and Saturday night. So be aware and still monitoring after that, especially some coastal lows in the Gulf might kick up some strong winds later. So still watching and be aware in those areas. It does show some heavy rain still across Costa Rica and Panama as usual, those tropical showers and storms. So just be careful as usual. Southern Mexico, a few showers, the west coast of Mexico, or a few thunderstorms, nothing too crazy. And northern Honduras still slightly heavier. So just be careful, those showers and thunderstorms. And the eastern Caribbean still shows more passing showers and a few thunderstorms to be aware. In Puerto Rico, the same, and still be careful in Hispaniola with Melissa going away. So stay safe, be aware in those areas.